Some people lose someone they love, and after that, only one question remains in their heart. Will I ever meet them again? Some people watch their parents grow older day by day. They love them, but they are also afraid. Afraid that one day their parents will leave. Afraid that when that day comes, there will be nothing more they can do. From the outside, this looks like love. But the Buddha's teaching invites us to look more carefully. Is the pain really coming from love itself? Or is the mind holding that person as mine? My mother, my father, my child, my family, someone I love. When the mind still holds someone as mine, it wants that person to remain, to stay with me, to never grow old, to never get sick, to never die, to never leave. But all conditioned things are impermanent. So love itself may not be the main problem. The deeper problem is the bond of attachment, a hidden bond that ties the mind to the person we love. In this video, we are not going to talk about love as comfort or healing language. We will read from and explain passages from the books of Elder Thích Thông Lạc. Elder Thích Thông Lạc was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk and elder who devoted his life to clarifying the Buddha's practical path, cause and effect, moral conduct, and not causing suffering to oneself, to others, or to living beings. In his books, practice is always brought back to something very concrete: body, speech, and mind. Here I use mind as a simple translation for the Vietnamese word tâm. In Buddhist teaching, the Vietnamese word tâm has a deeper meaning. We can return to it in another video. From that foundation, we will look at one question that is very close to our own lives. When the mind clings to mind, how does love become a bond? Elder Thích Thông Lạc calls this bond kiết, abiding attachment in the mind. By the end of this video, we may not yet be free from the pain, but we may begin to see what is truly making it so deep. When I read Sống 10 điều lành, which means living the 10 good deeds, one point felt very practical to me. Elder Thích Thông Lạc does not lead the reader into vague emotions. He brings the reader back to body, speech, and mind. What is this body doing? What are these words saying? What is this mind holding? From this point, I looked again at the suffering that comes. When we love someone, sometimes we think we are only loving. But when we look closely at body, speech, and mind, we may begin to see something else mixed into that love: fear of losing, the wish to keep, and the feeling of mine. So in this video, we will not rush to ask how to stop the pain. First, we simply look clearly: what is it in the mind that is making us suffer? When I read the section on contemplating impermanence, I noticed that Elder Thích Thông Lạc explains the word Pháp very broadly. Here, Pháp does not only mean Buddhist teachings or scriptures. It points to things, events, and everything that appears in life. This body is a phenomenon. Feelings are phenomena. Thoughts are phenomena. Speech, action, and circumstances, loved ones and possessions, sickness and death, all of these are phenomena. And Elder Thích Thông Lạc points out clearly, all phenomena are impermanent. Impermanence means that nothing stays still forever. Whatever appears, whatever comes together, will change, decline, and break apart according to causes and conditions. Today, we may be healthy, but tomorrow we may become sick. Today, we may have enough food, but tomorrow that may no longer be certain. Today, we may be sick, but tomorrow we may recover. Today, we are still alive, but tomorrow death may come. That is impermanence. But the difficult part is not understanding the word impermanence. The difficult part is when impermanence touches someone we love. It is easy to say everyone grows old, everyone gets sick, everyone dies. But when our own parents grow old, the heart begins to hurt. When someone close to us becomes sick, the mind becomes afraid. When someone we love dies, the mind becomes confused. It reaches out. It wants to hold on. It wants to know if that person still exists somewhere. It wants to know if we will meet them again. Because at that moment, that person is not just something impermanent. In our mind, that person is my mother, my father, my child, my family, someone I love. It is the word mind that turns the truth of impermanence into suffering. Here, we need to see clearly. Impermanence is not a negative idea. Impermanence is reality. Suffering begins when the mind refuses that reality. When the mind wants an impermanent person to remain forever, to stay with me, to never grow old, to never get sick, to never die, to never leave. Elder Thích Thông Lạc taught the contemplation of impermanence, so that the mind would not cling to any phenomenon. In this video, we can understand it in a very direct way. The person we love is also impermanent. Their body is impermanent. Their health is impermanent. The causes and conditions between us and them are also impermanent. If we do not see this, we will continue to hold that person as mine. And when the person we call mine changes, when they grow old, when they become sick, or when they disappear from our lives, the mind suffers. Now we need to pause at the word mind, because this word sounds very ordinary. Everyone says, my mother, my father, my child, my family, someone I love. In daily life, there is nothing wrong with speaking this way. It is only a way to describe a relationship. But in a mind of attachment, the word mine is no longer just a way of speaking. It becomes a form of holding. When we say my mother, we are not simply describing a relationship. The mind also wants her to remain with me. When we say my child, we are not simply describing a relationship. The mind may also want the child to become the person I imagine they should be. When we say someone I love, we are not simply recognizing someone close to us. The mind may also want that person not to change, not to leave, and not to disappear. This is very difficult to see. On the outside, we still call it love. But inside, the mind has quietly placed a condition. This person is mine, so this person must not be lost. But life does not follow that condition. Loved ones still grow old. They still get sick. They still change. They still have their own causes and conditions. And one day, they still have to leave. When that truth appears, the mind that clings to mind begins to suffer. Not because love itself is suffering, but because that love has been tied to possession. We want to keep what cannot be kept. We want the impermanent to stand still. We want someone with their own causes and conditions to remain inside our own wish. From this point, love begins to take on another form. It is no longer only care. It becomes fear of loss. It is no longer only concern. It becomes control. It is no longer only remembrance. It becomes clinging. And the more the mind clings, the deeper the suffering becomes. This is where the teaching becomes even more direct. When I read the section, death is the continuation of the law of cause and effect, I saw that Elder Thích Thông Lạc points directly to this bond. He calls it aikitsu. At first, this term may sound difficult, but when we look at life, it is not far away. I means affection, attachment, wanting to be close, wanting to keep. Kitsu means a bond, a tie, a feather in the mind. So aikitsu means love that has turned into a binding attachment. It does not appear as a rope outside us. It is inside the mind. When our loved ones is still alive, this bond makes us afraid of losing them. When our loved one grows old, this bond makes us uneasy. When our loved one becomes sick, this bond makes us panic. When our loved one dies, this bond makes us cling, remember, and wonder if they still exist somewhere. It makes us wonder if we will ever meet them again. From the outside, we say, I suffer because I love. But when we look more carefully, we begin to see inside that love a hidden bond is tightening. That bond says, this person must remain with me, must stay beside me, must belong to me, must not leave me. This is where the teaching becomes very direct. It is not that all love is suffering, but when love comes with holding, when love comes with possession, when love cannot accept impermanence, then that love has been tied by kiết, the bond of attachment. So in this video, it's not telling us to abandon love. It is only inviting us to look clearly inside the pain we feel for someone we love. How much of it is truly love, and how much of it is the bond of attachment that holds that person as mine. If we do not see this bond, we may continue to mistake attachment for love. At this point, some people may misunderstand. If love can become attachment, does that mean we should not love anymore? If we let go of attachment, does that mean we abandon our parents, our children, and the people close to us? No. The Buddha's teaching does not ask us to abandon our loved ones. It helps us see the bond that is tying the mind to them. When our parents are still here, we still care for them. When our children are still here, we still have responsibility. When someone close to us is in difficulty, we still help as much as we can. But we need to look again. Is this care coming from clear love? Or is it coming from fear of loss and the wish to control? Letting go does not mean loving less. It means being less bound. When I read Sống 10 điều lành or Living the 10 Good Deeds, I saw that Elder Thích Thông Lạc always brings the reader back to something very concrete: body, speech, and mind. So if we want to know whether our love has been mixed with attachment, we should not only look at our feelings. We should look at our actions. Are our actions showing genuine care? Or are they being used to control? Are we helping our loved ones suffer less? Or are we forcing them to follow our own wishes? Then we look at speech. Do these words make the other person feel lighter? Or do they blame, pressure, bring up the past, and bind? Sometimes we say, I only say this because I love you. But if those words make the other person suffer more, then we need to look again. Finally, we look at the mind. Is there truly love in the mind? Or is there fear of loss? Is there a wish to keep? Is there a wish for that person to belong to me? Is there a wish for them not to change, not to live differently from what I want? If body, speech, and mind are creating more suffering, then even if we call it love, attachment is still mixed into it. This is what we need to recognize. This video is not rushing to explain how to fix everything. First, we only need to see kiết is not far away. It appears in the way we act. the way we speak, and the way we think about the person we love. At this point, we do not need to rush and say that we have already let go. We also do not need to force ourselves to stop loving, stop remembering, or stop feeling pain right away. The first step is only to recognize clearly. When the mind suffers because it is afraid of losing someone, look again. Is the word mind inside that pain? When we see our parents growing old and the heart becomes uneasy, look again. Are we loving our parents, or are we afraid that my parents will leave me? When someone close to us becomes sick, look again. Are we caring with love, or are we being driven by the fear of loss? When we remember someone who has died, look again. Are we remembering with love, or are we still trying to keep that person as mine in the way our mind wants? To look like this is not to blame ourselves. It is not to deny love. It is to see where the bond of attachment is. Because if we do not see it, we may continue to think that all of this suffering is love. But when we look carefully, we begin to distinguish. There is love, there is responsibility, there is gratitude, but there is also fear of loss, the wish to keep, the refusal to accept impermanence, and the mind that holds someone as mine. When we can see this, the practice has already begun within us, because this practice does not begin with vague belief. It begins with seeing clearly what is happening in our own body, speech, and mind. Let us return to the question at the beginning. When we lose someone close to us, when we watch our parents grow old, when we fear that one day someone we love will leave, we often think, I suffer because I love. But after looking again through the teaching of impermanence, we begin to see something deeper. We do not suffer only because we love. We suffer because we want to keep an impermanent person as mine. All phenomena are impermanent. The people we love are also impermanent. Their body is impermanent. Their health is impermanent. The causes and conditions between us and them are also impermanent. If we do not see this, we may continue to mistake holding for love. We may think we are loving, but inside there is fear of loss. We may think we are caring, but inside there is control. We may think we are remembering, but inside there is clinging. That is aikyosu, the bond of attachment. This video is not telling us to abandon our loved ones, and it is not forcing us to stop loving, stop remembering, or stop feeling pain right away. It is only inviting us to begin seeing where the bond of attachment is tying the mind to someone we love. And the point to remember is very simple. Love itself may not be the main problem. The problem is the mind that wants to keep the person we love as mine. not abandoning our loved ones, but beginning to see that bond. If this reflection is helpful, you can subscribe to follow more readings and explanations from the books of Elder Thích Thông Lạc. And if this question touches your own life, you may leave a comment. Where do you see the word mind inside the way we love?